has there been anything like really surprising that's come out in the 20, 30 years we're dealing with it, or like surprising or something that's really shifted how you think about it?
Good question. Something that's really shifted my perspective on this. Well, to be honest with you, I think one of the more surprising things that I've learned in the past few years doing this 20-minute vibe stuff is that there's a bigger audience out in the public than I thought there was. Again, a lot of people are hesitant at first, right? But once
Yeah,
you get the basic insight about vibes, all of a sudden they're hooked on it. It's like, oh, wow, this makes perfect sense. I want to learn more about this, right? And
sure.
it's kind of this weird irony or contradiction where the word vibe is used every day, all day long. But very few people stop and think about it. But once they do, they realize, wow, there's a lot to think about here, a lot to chew on, and a lot of takeaways with this, right? And so if
Yeah,
that's the case, then I love having these dialogues. Every time I have a conversation with someone, new things come up in conversation.
right. How about anything that someone said that in these conversations that really stuck with you? Like, is there any of these? Because I think well more through oration, and
Mm-hmm.
so if I'm speaking about any topic at all, I'm midway through a sentence and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even realize that I thought that, and I'm saying it. So, is there any of these conversations that have really helped shape this that stay with you?
There's numerous. I mean, almost every conversation I have, every one of these podcasts, I walk away with like a new insight of some sorts. But I'm thinking about the previous podcast I did, and he asked me, who's the greatest vibe that I've ever met? Like, who's the person of the best vibe I've ever met? And that was like I couldn't answer because I don't know how to answer that question, right? Um,
Right.
every person
That is a great question though.
every person has a different vibe. In terms of best vibe, I don't know how to evaluate that. It doesn't make much sense, right? Now, having said that, though, the vibes that stand out most to me are ones that are authentic. In other words, I would ask this to you or to your listeners here. Think about the person you know in your life who's the most authentic person you know, right? And then what kind of vibe do they give off? Like, what does it mean to have an authentic vibe? And I think it's an interesting question, right? And I'm attracted
Right.
to vibes, like people who are genuine, honest, real with themselves, etc. Those kind of vibes stick out to me. It's what I appreciate.
Me too. Yeah, I feel if there's a vibe that I'm never going to get a straight answer from this person, I have a hard time in investing more because there's a yeah, I guess the best way to put it is like an inauthentic vibe.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like every response you get, every reaction is some sort of manufactured play for what they think they need to say or shouldn't say or whatever. That's definitely a vibe that I absolutely look out for. But I hear how you had a tough time answering who has the best vibe because it's kind of like how best friend shouldn't be a position; it should be like a tier,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like what's the tier of like the best vibe of people that you've met in your life? And sometimes it's different. Sometimes this person going out to have fun with is a better vibe than like one on one with this
Right.
person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, and again, it seems like anytime we're invited to think about this, it's more complicated than you think it would be.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and because go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just there's a lot to digest with it, right? Because now you're starting to pull in all kinds of ideas, like I said earlier, how we're all interconnected, how we live in a symbiotic relationship, and then there's always a relationship to everyone and everyone and everything has a different vibe. What does that mean? How do we develop a different kind of vocabulary for each unique vibe, right? So we have good vibes and bad vibes. Well, what about a million other vibes, right?
Right.
What is a vibe? Where does it come from? How do we use it, right? Can we use it to navigate our lives? I mean, it's almost endless, right?